Do not attempt anything in this DVD and Blu-ray update at home. Take one. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Hello, welcome to another DVD and Blu-ray update. It's been about 3 months since the previous one. Again, while I'm keeping to my resolution, I have been cutting down on the amount of DVDs and Blu-rays I've been buying. So that's something. Also, for some reason this throw looks purple, but in actuality it's blue, it's just the camera. So anyway, I've got 9 Blu-rays, one of them is a box set, and 2 DVDs, one of them is a box set, so we might as well get started. So the first Blu-ray we have is Prince of Darkness. This is a John Carpenter film, one of his lesser talked about films, not one a lot of people think of when they think of John Carpenter, but you know, a lot of people who have seen it say it's probably his best. I actually do disagree. It's an alright film, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. I might need to watch it again at some point, but I just preferred a lot of other John Carpenter films over this. But you know, saying that, like 7 out of 10 like is not bad at all, you know, for a film like this. There's some John Carpenter films I've yet to watch, like Christine, Assault on Precinct 13, Starman, a few others. I've seen most of his essential films. So, yeah, here are the discs. Film extras. So, yeah. Next one is possibly the most haunting film I've ever seen in my life, and one of the most depressing as well. And that is When the Wind Blows, based on the graphic novel by the late great Raymond Briggs, who also did The Snowman. This is nothing like The Snowman, by the way. This is a phenomenal film. It's set during the Cold War, and you know, the threat of, you know, what would have actually happened if the atomic bomb ever actually did strike. It's a bit like Fred's, if you've ever seen that. But it's a phenomenal film, but it's quite hard to watch. That is very hard to watch. You know, if you don't feel depressed once this film's over, then there's something seriously wrong with you. Yeah. I think it is a very haunting film, and you know what's even more haunting about it is the fact that the film is a bit of a cautionary tale about, you know, how you shouldn't really put all your faith in the government, you know, because the government might not be able to help you, and also obviously it's a very dark satire on, you know, how the atomic bomb would actually affect, you know, regular people, because the two main characters in this, they're not idiots. Which I've heard a lot of people complain they are. They're not. They're just incredibly naive, and you know, they don't know the actual dangers of a nuclear strike and the fallout. And whilst, you know, the idea of building fallout shelters out of doors and cushions is silly, that was actually advice the government peddled out. In fact, interestingly enough, the old Protect and Survive films are actually included as an extra on here, which yeah. There's something really, really haunting about them. Not least of all being just how fucking hopeless most of the advice is. But yeah, here are the discs. So here we have the Blu-ray and the DVD, and here we have the reversible artwork. The artwork which it came with. This is the original poster artwork, which they're both quite similar. And then we just have a booklet. Yeah. It's a great film. I would definitely recommend anyone to check it out, but you have to be sort of in the right mindset to watch it. And even if you go in full well, you know, knowing it's going to be grim, you know, nothing's going to prepare you for it. And it's not really the film you'd probably instantly watch again. You know, it's a bit like, even though I've never seen it before, but it's a bit like Schindler's List. you know, a lot of people say with Schindler's List, you know, it's phenomenal, but it's a film you really can't watch again. Or at least you can't watch again for a very long time. So, yeah, that is When the Wind Blows. Next up, we've got a couple of 101 Films titles, because HMV had a sale on. And those being Silent Night, Deadly Night and Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. I know we're nowhere near Christmas. Well, I say nowhere near, it's like 2 months away. God, this year's gone fast. But I didn't know if HMV would have another sale around December, so I picked them up now, you know, just to get them out of the way. But yeah, sort of Christmas themed sort of slasher films. First Silent Night, Deadly Night was, of course, hella controversial when it came out. You know, the soccer mums, you know, those, you know, the won't somebody please think of the children? Those sorts, you know, those annoying fuckers. You know, back in the 80s, they complained the hell out of this movie. You know, they were just like, oh, it's all about Santa. You shouldn't take Santa. Ban this movie. Down with this sort of thing. It's those type of mums, even though, first off, you know, it's not actually Santa doing the murders. Secondly, it's not made for children. I mean, it's an 18 for a reason. And Santa's not even real anyway, so what the hell are you on about? But yeah, I've seen this a couple of years back. It's alright. It's a bit slow in some parts, and a lot of it is very sort of hard hitting. A lot of it can be quite hard to watch at times, and that it's not really like a happy-go-lucky slasher film, which you probably would expect from a film like this. It's actually really quite mellow, but it's all right for what it is. I might need to watch it again actually, and who knows, I might actually love it. And you know, something I find vaguely funny is there's like 5 billion sequels, and I know Mickey Rooney is in one of them, despite him being one of the original's most vocal critics. Which, you know, money talks, I guess. I noticed on the back of this one it says runtime 87 minutes for disc 1 and runtime 227 minutes. This includes both the theatrical and extended cuts. But what they've done is they've listed both the runtime for the feature and also the extras. Why? Why do that? You know, when people read the runtime, they don't want to read they're not going to watch the whole fucking disc at one time, are they? They're just going to watch the film, aren't they? That's fucking stupid. I hate it when DVDs suck like that. I mean, this is the first time I've ever encountered that, actually. And, you know, it's annoying when they do it, you know, and it's annoying when they, you know, add up the total runtime for all the films. That is really annoying when they do that. But this is just taking the piss, frankly. Oh. And anyway, here are the discs. So disc 1 is the theatrical version. Disc 2 is the extended unrated version. I don't know which version I've seen because I watched it on YouTube first. So I don't know which version it was. I probably will watch the extended cut at some point. And bizarrely, despite the fact that this came from HMV, this isn't the original case it came in. This is the original case it came in. Yes. A standard fucking Blu-ray case. And, you know, and the artwork was sticking out the top because the plastic sheet only goes up that far. And the cover, can't see, but it's slightly damaged, but, you know, I'll live. So I ended up having to buy just a load of Criterion Blu-ray cases. And it came new and sealed like that, so I don't know what the hell 101 Films were playing at. But yeah. This film was also unavailable in the UK for many years. I don't know if they ever did try to submit it to BBFC back in the 80s, you know, or I think they might have been considering it, but James Furman just rejected it outright because, you know, the Video Nasty scare was not too long ago. It wasn't until I think 2009 when this finally got a UK release, when it came out on Arrow DVD. Hey, remember Arrow? When they actually released cult stuff, not fucking RoboCop and Wolf of Wall Street? Yeah. the good old days of Arrow before they went to shit. But yeah. And also, something else which I just find bizarre about the whole controversy is Killer Santas aren't a new thing. You know, there was a segment in the Tales from the Crypt film from the 70s which had a Killer Santa. There was Christmas Evil, which I actually do think is far better than this, which I would highly recommend. Christmas Evil was really underrated. That came out a few years prior, and that flew under the radar and actually received some pretty good reviews. This film was absolutely gutted when it came out. In fact, I believe it was gonna get a wide release in cinemas in America, but it only ever got a limited release before it was pulled. It didn't get a cult following until it came out on VHS. I don't think a movie like this would be as controversial these days as as it was back then. But mind you, people whinged about Santa having a COVID pass, so who knows. Then we got Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. Even if you've never seen this film, you know this scene.
Garbage day! Huh? No!
But yeah, watched this with a couple of friends a couple of years back, and it's absolutely hilarious. It's complete contrast to the first one. Most of it is just a rehash of the first one, which is a bit pointless, like why? But I think once you get past that point, it's just hysterical, throughout the film. The main character, Ricky, his eyebrows deserve an Oscar alone. But yeah, this came out in 2020. This is the first time you could legally buy this film in this country, because the BBFC banned it back in the 80s because I believe the company refused to make cuts. But this is fully uncut. And once again, listing the runtime of the main film and the extras together. Looking stupid like that. This also has the Ricky Today film on here, which where the main actor returns, and it's sort of done like this film is a fictionalized account of their tale, and it's interesting, but it's not great. I think it's a bit boring and it takes itself way too seriously, but it's still worth a watch. Here's the disc. This is only a one discer. This is the proper case it came in. Next for a couple which I got in from the HMV Premium Collection. I don't own that many Premium Collection titles, but not too long ago they had a sale on, so I grabbed up 4 titles. The first one is Soylent Green. This is a 70s sci-fi film. It's alright again. It definitely has some really good ideas in it. It's set this year, strangely enough, so it was kind of fitting I bought it this year. And obviously the ending is probably one of the most messed up endings in any film, even if it's kind of ruined if you already know the twist, which most people already know what Soylent Green is, but I won't give it away because I'm not a dickhead. But yeah, I think this is going to sound extremely sacrilege, but this film could really do with a remake. Not like a modern remake, like just basically rehash the first film but with none of the soul. I mean, like a remake as in one that actually explores the world, not really the mystery aspect. One that has more world building to it. I think that could have worked. But yeah, it's an interesting film, Soylent Green. Not one of my favourite 70s sci-fis, but definitely worth a watch. Here are the discs, so here we have the Blu-ray and the DVD. And we have a few art cards. Yeah, I think a remake of this could work because the themes in it are still fairly relevant, even to this day. In fact, it's kind of haunting just how close it is, to what 2022 actually looked like. I'm surprised we haven't gone as far as to actually manufacture Soylent Green yet, but I can imagine at some point it's going to have to come to that point. So yeah. No, I think they're engaged close. Next up, we've got The Haunting. This is the original Haunting from 1963. I know the remake is also on the premium collection, but I probably won't buy the remake because I've heard that film's absolutely terrible. But yeah, it's a very good film. I don't think it's as good as people make it out to be, but it's still phenomenal. It sort of feels a bit like something like the others, and I was getting a few others vibes from this. But yeah, it's a very good film. And actually surprisingly somewhat haunting. I know I'm saying haunting quite a lot, but you know, because it's kind of left up to the imagination. You know, are the ghosts real, or is this all just in the minds of the characters? But yeah, here we have the Blu-ray, the DVD, and some inner artwork. Very nice. And we also have a poster. What's nice about it is it's not just a reproduction of of just the cover. This is one of the alternate posters from the time. Yeah, great stuff. Next up, we've got a film which I absolutely adore. I adore this film when I first saw it, and that is Time After Time with Malcolm McDowell and the late, great, and very sadly missed David Warner. In fact, this arrived only 2 days before David Warner's death, so I watched this with a couple of friends as kind of a tribute to him, and it's a phenomenal film. It's really, really good. I'd highly recommend it. It's part chase film, part fish out of water, part romance. In fact, I reckon Back to the Future Part 3 took a lot of influence from this film, because both films star Mary Steenburgen. Both films are about Mary Steenburgen falling in love with somebody from a different time, and them getting together and going back or forward to said time. The premise to this film alone is what sold me, because I'll tell you what it's about. So H.G. Wells, the sci-fi author, the world-famous sci-fi author, had managed to invent his time machine, an actual functioning time machine. But however, one of his friends, or his former friend, is Jack the Ripper. So what Jack the Ripper does is he steals his time machine and basically goes on a rampage in 1979 San Francisco. So H.G. Wells must chase after him, to stop Jack the Ripper, and he also falls in love with a bank teller. But yeah, I probably didn't sell it that well, but it's a phenomenal story and just a phenomenal film. I absolutely loved it. Definitely needs a lot more love. This film wasn't even released on DVD in Region 2. It's only ever been released in Region 1. And VHS copies are quite hard to locate, so I'm glad they chose this film as part of the premium collection. But yeah, and also it's a very different film for Malcolm McDowell, because Malcolm McDowell actually plays a hero in this film, a good guy, which is something you'd never expect from Malcolm McDowell, because Malcolm McDowell's best known for playing villains, because it's the film that kicked off his career was A Clockwork Orange. It's really films like Clockwork Orange and Caligula that sort of solidified his career of playing villains. But I'd love to see Malcolm McDowell play more heroes in his films. And he's also got great comic timing. This is it's just a charming film. A charming, great film. I definitely would recommend it. Anyway, here's the disc. I don't know why it's a 15, because it's not particularly violent. There's like little if any swearing, no nudity and stuff. You know, it's fairly light as a film. You could probably maybe pass it off as a 12, possibly a PG. But I just don't get why it's a 15. I'll never understand that. But anyway, inside we have some artwork, and here we have some art cards, which these are slightly different to the other premium collection art cards because these are sort of like alternate posters. And here we have one of the posts, and here we have the poster for it, which it's a nice poster, but to be honest I prefer the theatrical poster that little bit more, but this is a lot more simplistic by comparison, but I guess less is more. But yeah, it's really nice, really nice set. I definitely recommend this film. I've hyped the hell out of it now, but you know, I think everyone should watch it at some point. It's a great film. And the final film from the premium collection is Running on Empty. Andy at the YouTube channel Forgotten World of Movies, link to his channel in the description if I remember. Great channel, by the way, definitely recommend him. You know, this is one of the films he highly recommends, and normally I tend to respect his opinion, and so I bought this, and yeah, I agree, it's a brilliant film. Directed by Sidney Lumet, who did Serpico and Dog Day Afternoon and a few others. And he also did Network as well. A really great film, really great sort of coming of age film, and you know, starring the late River Phoenix. Basically, River Phoenix's parents are like anti-war advocates, and you know, I don't want to call them terrorists because they're not, but they're basically after bombing a napalm laboratory, they're on the run from the FBI, and you know, they have to keep jumping from town to town to town, change their names and stuff. But however, the oldest son, played by River Phoenix, you know, he doesn't want to be part of this lifestyle anymore. He wants to just settle down in this location. But yeah, it's a really, really great film, a really touching film as well. Definitely would recommend it. Here's the disc, here's the inside art. And then we have a few art cards which are kind of standard on the premium collection. We have a poster. And here we have a little leaflet advertising other films in the premium collection, the complete range. Some of these are marked as out of print, which is a bit annoying. I don't know whether or not any of the premium collection titles will go back in print. Some of them have, like I think Pet Sematary on here is labelled as out of print when that's gone back in print. Some of them have subsequently gone out of print, like I think The Shining is now out of print. And yeah, it's quite a lot. So yeah, that was Running on Empty. Right, so now on to the box set, and this is the box set I was incredibly chuffed to find at the price I did. And it is 50 Years of Planet of the Apes, the 9-movie collection. I'd never seen any of the Planet of the Apes films up until this point. I know, right, because like nearly every Easter they almost always show the original Planet of the Apes on TV. This set is out of print. In fact, I think all the only Planet of the Apes films that you can still get are the 3 new ones. You can't get any of the originals that easily, but I found this on eBay for about 20 quid new and sealed, which was just a steal, you know, 20 quid for 9 movies, especially considering I believe the original retail price was like nearly 50 quid. So yeah, comes in a nice set right here. Here's the inside, and we've got a few different versions of Caesar. This is the Caesar from the original series, played by Roddy McDowall. And then we have the Caesar from the new trilogy, played by Andy Serkis. And right before we get to the discs, here we have a little card with the credits. Unfortunately, the side's got quite badly dented because of, you know, the way it is and the fact that it keeps slipping. So I've just decided to back that at the back. And then we've got some art cards with the original posters. So, and these kind of prove just how crap modern posters are. So here's the original Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, that's a good one, Conquest for the Planet of the Apes, that's another good one, Battle for the Planet of the Apes. It's a crap film, but that poster is fucking awesome. You know, I'd hang that on my wall, it's great. And then we get to the modern ones, which these posters are absolutely shite. The remake, Rise, Dawn, and then War. But what's nice about them is on the back you get these little bits on the back which when you stick them together they actually make a big picture. So I'll show you that in a sec. Right, so here are the discs. So we have the original Planet of the Apes from 1968. Fantastic film, one of the best sort of sci-fi films ever made. It's pretty much a massive allegory of racism and also, you know, about animal testing as well, you know, because it's kind of subverted because the apes are the predominant species and humans are kind of below them. I mean, the humans can't even talk in the first film. Yeah, it's a fantastic film. It's considered a classic for a reason, and even if you know the twist ending, which I think everybody knows, you know, it still is very surprising. Like, the ending is really haunting. Even though I'm not going to directly give away the ending, when I describe plot details for any of the sequels, I may end up inadvertently giving it away. So if you want to skip to this point, then, you know, you can avoid the spoilers. Beneath the Planet of the Apes is the next one, which is definitely a really, really massive downgrade from the first one. I think it was like Fox or something, because of how successful the original Planet of the Apes was. They wanted, you know, to make it a franchise. Yeah, even as early as the 70s, they were making films into series. The first hour or so is really fucking dire. It's basically just like a really boring rehash of the first film. But I think once you get to the last half hour or so, when you get to the humans, you know, the humans beneath the Planet of the Apes, and, you know, what happens and stuff, that's when it gets good. It gets incredibly bonkers during that bit, but, you know, kind of, that really doesn't save the film. It's not an awful film, but it's just not a particularly good film. And also, despite the fact that it's fairly short, it's only about an hour and a half, it does feel a lot longer than it actually is, which is not a good sign. And I mean, surprisingly, like, the second half is actually quite gruesome. Like, it's a 15. Can't bother getting the discs out, but you'll have to trust me on that. It's the only Planet of the Apes film to be rated 15, and I mean, it kind of deserves it, but I think Conquest is a lot more darker. Somehow it's a G in America. In fact, all of them except Conquest are Gs, and I have no idea why. Escape from the Planet of the Apes, which is definitely the one that surprised me the most. Really, really enjoyable when it was a fish out of water film. You know, and a really kind of great way, you know, and a really kind of creative idea, you know, of how to work a sequel. Because if you know how Beneath the Planet of the Apes ends, you know, you'd think, how the hell are they going to get a sequel out of this? And they actually do it in quite a genius way. It kind of makes it's kind of more like a prequel, you know, because the series is basically set on an infinite time loop. But it also is quite thrilling, you know, during like the second half, and the ending is probably the darkest ending out of all the Planet of the Apes films, and easily the most easily the saddest ending. But yep, it's very good. Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Conquest for the Planet of the Apes, which is my second favourite Planet of the Apes film behind the original. A great film. It's kind of a subversion of the first one, you know, where it's the apes who are treated more like slaves, you know, and it's really, really dark, you know, the torture scenes, fucking hell, you know. No wonder that when it came out in America they had to heavily cut it to get it down to a PG rating. The version I watched was the extended version. I didn't watch the theatrical cut. I've heard the theatrical cut's not very good, but it is definitely a great watch. But it's not an easy film to watch, basically. And then Battle for the Planet of the Apes, the final part in the original 5. It's a bit crap. The thing with the sequels is you could tell they had a very low budget, you know, they'd suffered budget cuts, and they're definitely more inferior to the first Planet of the Apes film, but this one in particular just feels like a TV movie. And that's even an insult to TV movies, because I've seen some pretty good TV movies. You know, Fred's, for instance. Like, Fred's is fucking amazing. But Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Battle for the Planet of the Apes just isn't. It was just very underwhelming as well, especially an underwhelming way to end the original franchise. Next one is the remake from Tim Burton. I have the remake on VHS, and that VHS has not been played. Well, it has been ran for a VCR because I had to clean the mould off it, which wasn't even necessary because it hadn't gone mouldy. But it's absolutely crap. Tim Burton is not good at doing remakes, you know, at the best of times. I mean, I've not seen his version of Dumbo, but I've heard that's crap. His version of Alice in Wonderland is crap, and his version of Willy Wonka is crap as well. I'm going to get a lot of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory fanboys in my comment section, but you know what? I don't give a fuck. Yeah, his remake, or I'm sorry, reimagining. It's a fucking remake, just called it reimagining to avoid the stigma. The only sort of vaguely good things about it are the fact that it does feel different to the first Planet of the Apes film. It's kind of a different story. I mean, it's got a similar idea, but it's a very different film. And the makeup by Rick Baker is fantastic. What do you expect from Rick Baker? Because in the original 5, you could kind of tell it was people in costumes, you know, even in the first Planet of the Apes film. Like, and I also noticed that the apes all seem to have lockjaw in the previous 5, you know, because they seem to be stuck with permanent smiles. But this one uses practical effects, and it does look really nice, really well done. Before the new trilogy, where it was all CGI. But everything else just doesn't work. The story is is incredibly convoluted and makes no fucking sense. Mark Wahlberg is so flat as a lead. He makes a table look charismatic. That's how fucking bland he is. I mean, he's not like Charlton Heston in the original. And the allegory just doesn't really make that much sense. Because the thing is, Tim Burton, he doesn't generally do social commentary in his films. His films are really more human stories. But when he tries to do social commentary, it just doesn't work. And this is the example of it. You know, because the thing is, in the original Planet of the Apes, it made a bit more sense as to why they'd be scared of Charlton Heston, because the humans couldn't talk, only Charlton Heston could. But in this one, the humans can already talk, so, you know, why are they scared of Mark Wahlberg? It doesn't make any sense. And the ending, what the fuck was that all about? I know I'm going to get some potential book nerd going in the comments saying, but that's how the book ended. In that case, the book has a daft ending as well. I don't know if it was better handled in the book, or I don't know, but the ending in the original it's a bit more subtle in the original, but it's far more effective. I think the ending in this film was just trying too hard. The ending just didn't even make that much sense anyway. It's just like Tim Burton was trying too hard. And you know something as well? It doesn't feel like a Tim Burton film. You know, it doesn't. With Tim Burton films, you can pretty much almost... He's probably the most unique director alive. You know, if you watch a Tim Burton film, you instantly know it's a Tim Burton film. But this one, if I wasn't told it was a Tim Burton film, I'd be none the wiser. It just doesn't feel like a Tim Burton film. It feels just a bit like a hired-on director. It doesn't really feel like one of his top films. But yeah, you can skip the remake and you're missing nothing, and it doesn't even connect story-wise. So, and then we move on to the new trilogy with Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which was really surprising. I really liked this one. Andy Serkis is fantastic as Caesar. He's always good, in motion capture, because he played Gollum in the Lord of the Rings films. And Andy Serkis is growing to be one of my favourite actors. But he's great in it, and it's got a different story to the other Planet of the Apes films. They're not connected. It's sort of its own universe. The story's great. It's basically an escape film, pretty much. And I guess the ending is a bit underwhelming, but other than that, it's a really good film. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Dawn for the Planet of the Apes, which a lot of people say is better than Rise. I don't think so. I think I was a bit bored of Dawn. It's good. It's a good film, Dawn, but I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I wasn't as blown away by it as everyone else was. But it's still good, Dawn. And then we get to the latest one, War for the Planet of the Apes, which is my least favourite of the new trilogy. But saying that, it's not a bad film. It's far from a bad film. It has a lot of good ideas in it and a lot of good scenes. But it was a bit too long. It's like nearly 2.5 hours. And did it need to be that long? Could they have just trimmed down a bit of the fat and lost nothing? Because Rise was very, very well paced. It did. It got to its points, whereas the Dawn and War kind of didn't. But yeah, it's okay, War. I just wasn't as enamoured by it as a lot of other people were. So now we move on to the DVDs, and the first DVD is a standalone DVD, a film which I doubt any of you have ever heard of, but I absolutely fell in love with it the first time I saw it, and it is Funny Man with Christopher Lee. This is a British horror comedy from the mid-90s. It's sort of like one of Peter Jackson's early films, Bad Taste and Brain Dead. It kind of feels like a British version of one of those films. But it's absolute, and that's probably the reason why I loved it. A friend of mine showed me this actually because it was on Talking Pictures TV not too long ago. This film, I believe, used to be a staple of the Horror Channel for many years before they apparently ran out of money and started showing crap asylum films or crap remakes of good horror films. But yeah, I think this film you either love it or you hate it, but I absolutely love it. The Funny Man himself is he's so funny. You love or hate his deadpan humour, but I absolutely love it. He's so funny, in the role. Apparently, I believe at first it wasn't supposed to be a comedy, but I believe it was sleep deprivation that got the actor to improvise. So it became a comedy, and it's hysterical. Mind you, I think Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare is hilarious. So what do I know? This is the special edition DVD with quite a lot of extras, including Who the Fuck is Tim James, who played the Funny Man, Man from the Street, The Hand of Fate. I believe the US version of this actually has the original short film, the half-an-hour short film, which preceded the Funny Man. This doesn't have that, but that's the trailer for it, so it has quite a lot of different extras. But yeah, and apparently the director was off his face as well, so that's something. Here's the disc, and inside we have Funny Man: The Diary. This is a really nice edition. I believe this was put out on Blu-ray by Screenbound and was also released on DVD, but I think that version doesn't have as many extras. This one's got a nice set, so I was lucky to... I paid a bit too much for it, but, I was able to get it for a price I was willing to pay. Because I think £20 is sort of the maximum of what I'd spend on a single title. If it goes over £20, then I'll just wait. But yeah, just fold out booklet thing. I just want to show you this for a sec. glossary, brief guide to course English language, drive on arse, bollocks, bird, cracking, sorted, Mr. Whippy, all that shite. Yeah, fucking great film, funny man. I think you can still view it on the Talking Pictures TV catch-up service. You can still view it on there, but it's on YouTube. But the YouTube copy doesn't have the credits, which is a shame, really, because the credits are pretty funny with the Funny Man song sung by Christopher Lee. But yeah, that's a great film, that Funny Man. I definitely recommend it. If you're into B movies, I wouldn't recommend it for a general audience, but it's fantastic. And then finally, we've got a box set, and this is Jackass, the TV and the movie collection. Warning, the stunts in this collection were performed by professionals, so neither you nor the dumb little buddies should attempt anything from this collection. Love Jackass. The thing with Jackass is you either love it or you hate it. I think that's kind of the general gist of it, but I absolutely loved it. Watched the first 3 Jackass films with a couple of friends, and when I think it was just before Jackass Forever came out. So I've not seen Jackass Forever yet, but I've heard it's great, so I can't wait to give that a go. Yeah, this includes all 4 volumes of the TV show and the 3 movies. The 3 movies up until that point. This doesn't have Jackass Forever. Or Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa. So here you have the first box set, which is the classic TV collection. If you don't know what Jackass is, it's basically just, these idiots doing really, really stupid stunts. I'm amazed a lot of them didn't get killed, like actually doing any of these stunts. Because some of them, you're like, what? How the hell are these people still alive? Although I think one of them, I can't remember his name, sadly died not too long after Jackass 3D came out, but he wasn't doing a stunt. Yeah. I mean, they're not lying when they say don't attempt any of this stuff at home. But yeah, here's Volume 1. Now, Jackass ran for 3 seasons, but for some reason they've not released the whole show. They've only ever released best of compilations, which is a bit annoying. I hate it when they do that. Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, Jackass The Lost Tapes, which is basically just bits that were from the TV show that didn't make it onto the other 3 volumes. And then we have just a bonus disc with, I know it has Gumball Rally and Where Are They Now specials. And then we get on to the movies. The movies, obviously were a lot cruder than the TV show. They didn't censor the nudity or anything. But yeah, they're really, really funny. I think they're better watched with friends than on your own, but you can still get a good laugh out of them if you watch them on your own. But it's better with friends. Friends who appreciate this type of stuff. I think some people are either going to laugh their head off or just roll their eyes at this sort of stuff. So we have Jackass the movie, which is fantastic. I love the first Jackass film. It does feel a bit like an extended episode of the TV show, but regardless, it is fantastic. Jackass 2, which is my favourite of the lot, really funny. Jackass 2 has some of my favourites. That's why I think when I was watching them with a couple of friends, the first Jackass film I think we were laughing harder at. But we loved Jackass 2. Uncut, I don't know what exactly it has been cut out originally. And then we have Jackass 2.5, which I've not seen yet. It's the 2.5, 3.5, etc. are just basically deleted scenes, from stunts that didn't make it into the films themselves. So they just basically took all the deleted footage and stuck it all together into a film, because it was almost feature length worth of extras. And for some reason the 18 rating is inverted on the Jackass 2 discs for some reason. And then we have Jackass 3 or Jackass 3D, because it was originally screened in 3D. There's some bits, where they probably were catering more to 3D, like the bit in the portable toilet when there's shit flying everywhere. That bit was probably more for 3D viewing. Probably my least favourite of the lot, but I think it's probably the most tenderest of the Jackass films, because the thing with the Jackass series is it's not really mean-spirited. You can kind of tell, the friendship, the hosts have. And I mean, even the people who they play the pranks on, like, can kind of see the humour, you know, especially afterwards. It's not a horrible thing. It's not like a prank video on YouTube where it's just nasty stuff. You know, this is like genuinely funny, a lot of this stuff. It is the sickest, however, out of all the Jackass films. And then we have Jackass 3.5. So, yeah, that is it. That is everything. So, until next time, so long for now, in another 3 months or whenever. Will you bloody be told there's no rest for the wicked? God, I don't know what this bloody world's going to. I really don't.